passage that we read, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, is in the second epistle that Paul wrote to the Corinthian church. Paul has had some things going on in that church, some of them involving disagreements, some of them involving criticisms coming from Paul's teachers. And a large portion of this episode is Paul's response to these criticisms and also addressing some issues that were happening in that church. And if you look at from the first verse of chapter 4 all the way to verse 6, it still falls within this defense of his ministry, his ministerial calling, and his methods of ministry amongst the Corinthian church. Paul, in defending himself, talks about this glorious ministry that he's involved in, and how all of the challenges he's faced and all of the criticisms that he's faced will never make him lose heart. But he is not going to fall to the pressure of having to cajole people, or to use dubious means, or to use deceitful tactics in proclaiming the truth that the Lord has given him. In fact, he said it right from chapter 3. He made that point that the gospel that they preach is not veiled, it is open to everyone. And if indeed it is veiled not because it is not understandable, but because Satan has blinded the eyes of these people from seeing, and from their wickedness they refuse to understand this gospel that he preaches. And he only realizes that it is God who has shown in his heart so he might share the light of the gospel with these people. And within that period, Paul had been criticized of being weak, of not being eloquent in speech, of having some physical ailments, which was uncharacteristic of the minister of the word. The minister of the word was seen to be sharp and to be like a superhero, to be a spiritual, to be a mini-god. But Paul was very intentional in showing that the person of the minister is actually not the most important part of the ministry. Yes, he is important, but what really makes the person of the minister more important is the gospel that he comes with. And this is what he continues to talk about. So, when these people came around and said, Paul is a weak person, he doesn't come across as a strong personality, he doesn't come across as an effective minister of the word. Paul, just like in many other passages, was intended, he really was intentional rather, to show that it is not about me as a person being strong and eloquent and all of that. What really makes me who I am as a minister of the word and as a child of God is the power that is in me. And it is from that point that we pick up in verse 7 that he says, we can look to our Bibles now, but we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our bodies. So Paul says that, for we carry this treasure. And what is this treasure? What is this treasure that Paul talks about? From chapter 3 all the way to chapter 4, Paul tries to explain this gospel. But we can see from verse 4 and verse 5 of chapter 4 that we've read, Paul uses some words, some phrases to describe this treasure that make up these some words that describe this treasure that we as believers or as a minister in Paul's case bear. And verse 4, he says, in their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing. And this is how he describes it: the light of the gospel. He describes this treasure as the light of the gospel. He also describes it as the image of God. And he also describes it as the glory of Christ. So in short, this treasure is embodied in the person of Jesus Christ. The person of Jesus Christ and the power that he comes with is this big treasure. But if we do not understand this treasure, we're unable to understand the work that it does in the life of the believer. Otherwise, the believer has the tendency, or the minister of God, and we are all ministers, has the tendency of thinking that the power of the gospel is in them, rather than the gospel itself being in power, and Christ being the gospel. So he describes us as earthen vessels or jars of clay. Jars of clay. Say, for this treasure in jars of clay. And that word, that expression, jars of clay, is referring to the human person, the human body, individuals, people, us. We are as jars of clay. And it's a figurative language in which the human body, in its weakness and limitations, and as fragile as it is, carries something very powerful. And Paul uses the same expression in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 20. And he compares the jars of clay with other precious material in the house, like silver and gold. So when he uses that phrase, he uses the jars of clay as an inferior material containing something superior. Clay. Clay. Do we have to buy clay? Well, maybe. But clay is very cheap. You can just go anywhere and get clay. When it falls down once, what happens to it? It breaks. Maybe if it stays too long in water, what happens to it? Dissolves and it's gone. So that clay in its natural sense is really not something very strong. That it needs something better to make it worthy of whatever we consider it to be. So while these vessels may be earthly in nature, they contain something very important. Now that is the point. Something very important. So that what gives this place a sense of meaning and significance is not what the clay is made up of. It is actually what is inside the jar of clay. What is being stored in the jar of clay. So, what is it? Is in the jar of clay, as Paul describes it. He says, treasure in the jars of clay, to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. So he was saying, when these people come and tell you that we should be the surpassing power, he said, no. Actually, the surpassing power belongs to God, not to us. So that when we express this power that comes, we are not expressing us. We're expressing Jesus, the treasure. That is who we're expressing. So the vessel that is used by God is one that contains the power of God that God uses to express His power. For it is when God uses weak things, like in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, chapter 1 rather, how God uses the foolish things of men, right? To shame the wise. Only God does that. So many things make the vessels beautiful. But only one thing makes it powerful. What is it? What is it? But he didn't stop there. He gave evidence from life. From verse 8, he said, we are afflicted. And he gave 4 or 5 different expressions. Some things like paradoxes that describe how the power of God is displayed in these jars of clay. They said we are pressed on every side, yet not crushed. We're perplexed, but not in despair. We're persecuted, but not forsaken. We're struck down, but not destroyed. We carry the death of Christ in order to take his life. So, what jar of clay will go through pressing from every side and will not be crushed? Is that ever possible? What jar of clay will be struck down but not destroyed? Is that ever possible? No way. So that the person, what really keeps that jar of clay is what is in it. The power of the gospel. The power of the gospel. So in going through all of that, we embody the power of the Lord. Like in Galatians chapter 6 verse 17, Paul says, from henceforth, let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Jesus Christ. So the believer's life is for Jesus, to showcase Jesus, his glory, and his power, and not self. And not self. And this is what forms the confidence that Paul has from verse 13 to 15. That at the resurrection and ultimate glorification, Paul knew that all things can be to the benefit of him, resulting in thanksgiving and glory. Because the power that works in him is what makes things beautiful at the end of the day. Now this power that is working inside the jar of clay is not in vain. It is doing something. And it is that thing that puts the totality of life in perspective for believers. It is readying the believer for eternal glory. So based on Paul's experiences and how God has been with him, he makes an emphatic statement. If you read verse 1 of chapter 4 that we read, he said, therefore, having this ministry by the mercy of God, we do not lose heart. So let's go back to verse 16. So we do not lose heart. That despite the affliction, despite the perplexity, despite the persecution, despite being stricken down, we do not lose heart. We do not lose heart. That through our outer self, though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is renewed day by day. That with the Lord in us, though we grow old, we never really grow old. So maybe some people can be consoled by that fact. But like Abraham, who was growing old, who was growing weak in his body, he was waxing stronger. And that is what the Lord does. So it just reassures the believer that in times of trouble, we really are not reducing in value. That with the Lord in us, in times of trouble, our value increases. That though the outward man is perishing by the day, the inward man, the spiritual man, is being renewed day by day. So Paul is now putting his is a tearing and wearing that should have led to a depreciation. When he carries himself with this tearing and wearing and puts it on God's scale, the scale doesn't stay up, it goes down. But what is of interest to me is the way Paul describes his suffering. He said, for this light, momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. Now, see what he did there. He said, for this what? Light, preparing us for an eternal weight. Light, not heavy, eternal weight. You know, what I'm thinking is, Paul is a very interesting fellow. We are hard pressed on every side. We're perplexed, persecuted, struck down, dying, and he calls it light. He's not fair. He calls it light. That we lose our jobs for our faith. We don't get employed or admitted because of our faith. We get insulted because of our faith. And all manner of things because of our faith. And he calls it life. But he is very deliberate. He used the same expression in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 10. And also chapter 1, verse 6. How he compares the momentary suffering we go through with the eternal glory. So that's why he was very deliberate in using light, our suffering, and with our glory. That when we compare the two and look at the suffering that we go through, actually it is light. That when we are done with going through all of that, and we stand before the Lord and he presents this glory, we stand to share in his kingdom. We will look at everything and we'll be like, oh, that was actually nothing. That was nothing. But look at it again. He said, light momentary. It is not only light, but it is momentary. It is just for a while. And I'm thinking of an 8-year-old father or mother who has been through all the sufferings of life. And we call it momentary. But he explains it. He says, weight of eternal glory. How long is eternity? How long? It's as long as eternity. It's as long as eternity. And when we look at eternity, we know that no matter how long we've stayed in this world, it is a moment. It is a moment. What can we learn from all of this? The first thing that children of God can learn is we are God's vessels and jars for honorable service. We are God's vessels and jars for honorable service. The important thing about the vessel is that it can be empty. It can be full. It can be used for service. It is available for use. So that the vessel's importance is in its usefulness. So each of us must seek to become a vessel unto honor, sanctified or kept apart, and meet for the master's use and prepared unto good work. Let's read 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 21. Paul talks about that. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 21. He says, therefore, if anyone pleases himself from what is dishonorable, he will be a vessel for honorable use, set apart as holy, useful to the master of the house, ready for every good work. And that is how the vessel is used. Cleansing of self, being honorable. So that it is not enough for us to be within the assembly of vessels, but we have to be usable. Because now, the image that Paul uses here is from the temple. The priest goes into the temple and he looks at various vessels or jars that he will use. He picks one and he uses. The moment one becomes unclean, he is not going to use it. He leaves it. And that is the image that Paul uses. So, first off, as vessels to the Lord, we must prepare ourselves for godliness in order that we will be honorably used by the Lord. When the Lord has called us to be His vessels, He has called us to the life of holiness. God does not use unholy vessels. He doesn't do that. And many of us young people are in service to the Lord. But our walk with God, we do not take it seriously. The Lord enjoys you more than He enjoys your service. Vessel. Another implication that we can look at this idea of us being vessels is this: that no minister is more important than the gospel he preaches. What actually makes the minister important is the gospel. So that the moment the minister presents himself to be more important than the gospel, he has become the gospel. He has become God. That is no minister. That is a God. He has placed himself in the same position as God. He is now competing with God. That is why you must be wary of ministers that place themselves above everything and everyone, including the Word of God. When you begin to hear people quote their ministers and not the Bible, there is a problem. That today we know it that we are just instruments in the hands of the Lord. And the Lord is using us to do what He wants us to do. And we have to be faithful in this service. Because the results, the glory, and everything belongs to the Lord. So we should seek the glory of God above all else. And we should be honorable. And at this point, I think it's necessary that we talk to ourselves. Cephas Seminary Church has stood out over time as a landmark church, as a pace setter in various ministry angles. Many people come here to learn things. Many people love to be in this church. I love it. When people leave this church, they find it very hard to find another church. We speak to our church members that leave town and they struggle. Where can we find a church as this? I met somebody and he was talking about the youth of our church. He said the youth of your church are crazy. They have ideas that if we have 5 churches that have the type of your youth, that this just sound, Jesus will take it. That sounds good. That sounds good. But that is dangerous. Because the moment it begins to get into our head, that we become the gospel and not us showing the gospel, but showing ourselves, that is the beginning of our downfall. Like we always sing, Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. From beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Jesus. Jesus has to be the center. Now we have to preach Jesus. We have to teach Jesus. We have to showcase Jesus and not ourselves. Secondly, when believers are faced with suffering, it is to show the power of God. It is to show the power of God. Sometimes the Lord allows the jar to fall. Sometimes the jar might be kicked. Sometimes the wind will blow the jar off the table. Sometimes the rain will fall on the jar. But it is all to show that the power of the Lord in the jar is able to keep the jar from breaking. Suffering reveals not only human weakness, but the glory of the Lord. So when Paul wrote all of these things that he went through, it was not just to show that he is weak, but that there is a strong God inside of him doing stronger things. That is what the world is not able to understand about us. So not only must we focus on the treasure that is inside of us, we must also put our focus on the Master in whom we serve. For even when we suffer, we are sharing in Jesus' suffering. If we die to self, Jesus lives in us. For we take up his death in order to take up his life. And that is how he works. When Paul was suffering in 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, he asked for that throne to be taken away from him. But the Lord told him, no, my son, for my power is made perfect in weakness. And in verse 6 of chapter 4 that we read, the Bible says that his light shines through the dark. And the image that is used there is a small opening. And light comes out of it and just shines. So when we suffer, it is Christ manifesting himself in our mortal flesh. Like a friend of mine will say, suffering may hurt us, but with the Lord, suffering will never harm us. Lastly, we should look forward to the great glory ahead. We should look forward to the great glory ahead. And this is the part of the Christian race that sets us apart from other people. When we think of the glory that awaits us as children of God, we are encouraged to keep moving. When we compare the great glory that lies ahead, we look at our suffering as nothing compared to this glory. Onward, when we look into eternity, it makes our life meaningful. We live a meaningful life here on earth when we know that it matters in eternity. So while some people think that life ends here on earth, believers think that life begins after death. And after here, our lives continue to exist in a glorious form, a form that we are actually meant to do. So when we think about our lives and stop at 70 years, at 80 years, we have actually just misunderstood God's plan for life. That at 70, at 80, when we take that last breath, we actually just took another breath in eternity. It is just another breath. It is not the last breath. As a matter of fact, it is not the first breath in eternity. It is just another breath in life. That we are just transiting into the great beyond. But what matters most is that question, that great treasure. That is what makes the difference. Do you have that treasure? Because eternity will be a far worse place than the suffering here if that treasure is not in you. Do you have that treasure? Can that treasure make a difference in your life after the life here is done? What kind of treasure? It is not Jesus, the gospel, it is no treasure.